The world watched in astonishment today as a quiet diplomatic crisis exploded into the open, capturing the attention of international media and governments alike. Canadian officials, speaking on condition of anonymity, dropped a bombshell accusation that has sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles. They claimed that India was involved in the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a charge that could have far-reaching consequences. Nijjar, a Canadian citizen and prominent Sikh leader, was gunned down in June, sending shockwaves through the Sikh community and raising questions about international safety and security. The revelation came after weeks of mounting pressure on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government to take decisive action and address the growing concerns. Sources within the Canadian government have confirmed that intelligence agencies have been meticulously investigating India's potential role in the killing, leaving no stone unturned. What they found, according to these sources, was deeply troubling and has raised alarms at the highest levels of government. While the exact nature of the intelligence remains shrouded in secrecy, it reportedly provides compelling evidence linking Indian agents to the assassination plot, a revelation that could strain international relations. The decision to leak this information to the press, bypassing typical diplomatic protocols, underscores the seriousness of the allegations and the urgency felt by Canadian officials. This stunning turn of events has plunged Canada and India into their worst diplomatic crisis in decades, with both nations now navigating a complex and tense situation. The world holds its breath, waiting to see how this high-stakes standoff will unfold, as the implications of these allegations could reshape international alliances and diplomatic strategies. The decision to leak the intelligence, sources say, was made by a small group of Trudeau's top advisors. This group, consisting of seasoned political strategists and security experts, weighed the potential risks and benefits carefully. They believed that the gravity of the situation demanded a bold response, one that would not only address the immediate threat, but also set a precedent for future actions. Their aim was to send a clear message to India and the world that Canada would not tolerate such actions against its citizens. This was seen as a necessary step to uphold national integrity and protect Canadian values. However, the move has also sparked controversy. The public and political analysts are divided, with some praising the transparency and others condemning the potential fallout. Critics argue that the leak was reckless and could jeopardize the safety of Canadian diplomats and citizens in India. They fear that this could lead to a diplomatic standoff or even retaliatory actions. They also question whether it was the right decision to make without first exhausting all diplomatic channels. Diplomacy, they argue, should have been the first course of action to resolve such a sensitive issue. Adding fuel to the fire, some within Trudeau's own party have expressed concern that the Prime Minister was not fully briefed on the decision to leak the intelligence. This has led to internal strife and questions about the decision-making process within the government. This has led to accusations of a shadow government operating within the Prime Minister's office, further deepening the political crisis. The notion of an internal faction making unilateral decisions has alarmed many. The fallout from the leak has been swift and severe, with India vehemently denying any involvement in Nijjar's assassination. The Indian government has called the allegations baseless and politically motivated. As tensions escalate, the world waits with bated breath to see what Trudeau's next move will be. The international community is closely monitoring the situation, aware that the outcome could have far-reaching implications for global diplomacy. While Canadian officials have remained tight-lipped about the specifics of the intelligence, sources suggest that it includes intercepted communications, human intelligence, and financial records. This information, they say, paints a damning picture of Indian government involvement in the plot to assassinate Nijjar. One particularly explosive piece of evidence, according to sources, is an intercepted communication between Indian intelligence officials discussing the need to silence Nijjar. This communication, if authentic, would provide direct evidence of India's intent to harm the Sikh leader. Furthermore, reports suggest that Canadian intelligence agencies have tracked the movements of individuals believed to be Indian agents who traveled to Canada in the months leading up to Nijjar's assassination. These individuals, sources say, were in contact with known criminals with a history of violence. The weight of this evidence, according to Canadian officials, is simply too great to ignore. They argue that it demands a strong and decisive response from the international community. The allegations have sent shockwaves through the diplomatic community, with many world leaders expressing deep concern over the escalating situation. The United States, a close ally of both Canada and India, has called for calm and urged both sides to engage in constructive dialogue. However, the diplomatic fallout is already being deeply felt. Canada has recalled its ambassador from India and expelled a number of Indian diplomats from Ottawa. India has responded in kind, expelling Canadian diplomats and suspending visa services for Canadians. The situation has also cast a shadow over trade relations between the two countries. Canada and India have been working towards a free trade agreement, but those talks have now been put on hold indefinitely. The economic consequences of this diplomatic row could be significant for both countries involved. Section 5. India lashes out. Denial and counter-accusations. India has reacted to the Canadian accusations with fury and indignation. The Indian government has categorically denied any involvement in Nijjar's assassination, calling the allegations absurd and baseless. Indian officials have accused Canada of harboring Sikh separatists and of interfering in India's internal affairs. They have also accused Canada of playing politics with the issue, suggesting that Trudeau is trying to distract from domestic political problems. Adding to the tension, India has launched its own investigation into Nijjar, alleging that he was involved in terrorist activities. They have accused Canada of failing to act on information provided by India about Nijjar's alleged ties to extremist groups. The war of words between the two countries shows no signs of abating. With both sides digging in their heels, a quick resolution to the crisis seems unlikely. Section 6. Fallout in Ottawa. Lawmakers demand answers. The diplomatic crisis has also sparked a political firestorm in Canada. Opposition lawmakers have criticized Trudeau's handling of the situation, accusing him of being too slow to respond to the allegations against India and of failing to adequately protect Canadian citizens. There are also growing calls for a public inquiry into the Nijjar assassination and the government's handling of the intelligence. Lawmakers from all parties are demanding answers, and the pressure is mounting on Trudeau to provide them. The scandal has also raised questions about the role of Canada's intelligence agencies. Some lawmakers are calling for a review of the laws governing the intelligence community, arguing that there needs to be greater oversight and accountability. As the political fallout continues, it is clear that this crisis will have a lasting impact on Canadian politics. Section 7. A world reacts. International pressure mounts. The international community has watched the escalating tensions between Canada and India with growing alarm. The United Nations has called for restraint from both sides and urged them to resolve their differences through dialogue. The United States, caught in the middle of two close allies at odds, has been careful in its response. The Biden administration has called for a de-escalation of tensions and urged both sides to cooperate in a thorough investigation into Nijjar's death. The United Kingdom, Australia, and other Western allies have expressed similar sentiments, urging both Canada and India to exercise restraint and find a diplomatic solution. However, the diplomatic pressure is mounting on India to cooperate with Canada's investigation. The allegations against India are serious, and the international community is watching closely to see how India responds. Section 8. The stakes could not be higher. The Sikh community in the balance. At the heart of this international crisis lies the Sikh community, caught between two nations and their complex history. The intricate and often tumultuous relationship between India and Canada has placed the Sikh diaspora in a precarious position. The assassination of Nijjar, a prominent Sikh leader, has sent shockwaves through the diaspora, raising fears of violence and persecution. His death has not only left a void in leadership, but has also ignited a sense of vulnerability among Sikhs worldwide. Canada is home to a large and vibrant Sikh community, many of whom have deep ties to India. This community has thrived, contributing significantly to the cultural and economic fabric of Canadian society. This community has been vocal in its calls for justice for Nijjar and for a thorough investigation into his death. Their demands echo across continents, seeking transparency and accountability. The allegations against India have also inflamed tensions within the Sikh community, with some accusing the Indian government of trying to silence dissent and suppress Sikh identity. These accusations have deepened the rift, leading to heightened emotions and a call for solidarity. Others have urged caution, calling for calm and restraint while the investigation runs its course. They emphasize the importance of unity and patience during these trying times. The stakes could not be higher for the Sikh community. Their future, their identity, and their safety are all on the line. They are looking to both Canada and India for answers, and for justice for one of their own. The resolution of this crisis will shape the community's path forward, influencing their sense of belonging and security in both nations. Section 9. A relationship in tatters. The future of Canada-India ties. The diplomatic row has dealt a significant blow to the relationship between Canada and India. The two countries have enjoyed close ties in recent years, with growing trade and cultural exchange. However, this relationship is now in tatters, with trust and goodwill eroded. The economic consequences of the crisis are already being felt, with trade talks suspended and businesses on both sides facing uncertainty. The human cost is also significant, with families and individuals separated by the diplomatic standoff. It remains to be seen whether Canada and India can repair the damage done to their relationship. Rebuilding trust will require time, effort, and a commitment from both sides to engage in dialogue and find common ground. The world is watching to see if these two important democracies can overcome this crisis and forge a new path forward. Section 10. The mystery remains. What happens next? The world watches with bated breath as this diplomatic crisis unfolds, the outcome far from certain. Will Canada, armed with its intelligence, seek further action against India? Will India bow to international pressure, or will it double down on its denials? The answers to these questions remain elusive, shrouded in a fog of diplomatic maneuvering and political posturing. What is clear, however, is that the stakes are incredibly high. This is about much more than just the assassination of one man, as shocking as that crime was. This is about the fundamental principles of international law, the sanctity of national sovereignty, and the delicate balance of power on the global stage. As the world waits for the next development in this rapidly evolving story, one thing is for sure: the aftershocks of this earthquake will be felt for years to come.